The latest release of the Epstein files has reignited public outrage, and rightly so. The documents are disturbing, unsettling, and in many cases horrifying. They reference sexual abuse, exploitation of minors, and a social world so morally warped that it challenges the public faith in institutions meant to protect the vulnerable. But if we let this story collapse into partisan point scoring, we miss the real truth. This is not a Republican scandal. This is not a Democratic scandal. This is a systematic corruption scandal. What was released and what that actually means. The latest Epstein file release is disturbing, not just because of what's inside, but because of what it reveals about how power protects itself. These documents expose a system where wealth, influence, and status repeatedly delayed accountability and failed victims. This is not a partisan issue. The Epstein case cuts across politics, industries, and institutions, showing how corruption thrives when transparency is resisted and justice is unevenly applied. In this report, we separate verified facts from allegations, explain what the files do and do not prove, and examine how institutional failures allowed abuse to continue for years. You don't need conspiracy theories to be outraged. The documented truth is bad enough. The U.S. Department of Justice recently released millions of pages of records related to the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein following legal and public pressure for transparency. These files include emails, contact lists, photos, interview notes, tips, and internal records. The DOJ itself warns that the archive contains graphic descriptions of sexual assault and disturbing material. It is not curated for comfort or clarity. It is raw. What they didn't redact. That distinction matters because a file mentioning a person is not the same thing as evidence of a crime. The archive contains verified investigative material, contextual documentation, and also unverified claims, rumors, third-hand statements, and vulgar commentary. Transparency does not equal adjudication. The most disturbing claims and how to treat them honestly. Public attention is focused on shocking references within the files, including mentions of rape, murder, and even extreme allegations such as ritualistic abuse or child sacrifice. Here is the responsible, factual way to handle that. Sexual abuse of minors by Epstein is established fact. The broader claims of murder or ritualized violence appear in unverified communications or tips, not in charges, sworn testimony, or prosecutorial findings. However, they did redact depictions of death. And they've admitted that. Those claims must be treated as allegations inside documents, not proven events. This distinction is not about minimizing outrage, it's about preserving credibility. The truth does not need exaggeration. What is proven is already damning. The real scandal, institutional failure. The Epstein case exposes something far more dangerous than any single individual. It exposes how power insulates itself. Epstein did not operate in a vacuum. His access to politicians, celebrities, academics, financiers, and global elites was well known. His behavior was rumored and known for years, and yet prosecutors cut lenient deals, investigations stalled, records were sealed, media coverage was muted or delayed. Institutions deferred responsibility. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is documented history. Corruption in the real world is rarely cinematic. It's bureaucratic. It hides behind procedure, jurisdictional confusion, and professional courtesy. It thrives on silence, delay, and reputation management. This is not about party, it's about class and power. One of the most corrosive mistakes we can make is turning this into a partisan weapon. The Epstein files implicate a culture of elite protection, not a single ideology. The social and institutional networks surrounding Epstein spanned political parties, industries, and countries. Power protected power. When accountability depends on wealth, status, or connections, justice ceases to be blind. So how do we read these files without being manipulated? A responsible public standard is essential. Every name or claim should be filtered through the same lens. Charged or convicted, established fact. Sworn testimony or court finding. Official investigative documents. Associations such as emails, photos, and contact lists. Unverified allegations or anonymous tips. Anything below level 3 is not proof, but it is context. And context matters when examining systematic failure. So what would real accountability look like? If institutions want public trust restored, transparency cannot be performative. Real accountability would include a clear index of what records exist versus what remains withheld. Independent review of the redactions. Protection of victim identities without shielding enablers. Equal scrutiny regardless of political affiliation or social standing. Without that, every partial release only deepens suspicion. So what is the bottom line here? You don't need claims to recognize the truth. A convicted sex trafficker operated for years with impunity. Institutions failed repeatedly. Powerful people were protected. Victims were ignored. That alone should outrage every American, left, right, or otherwise. This story is not about ideology. It is about whether a system that protects the powerful at the expense of the powerless deserves public trust. And that is a question no party gets to dodge. So where do we go from here? Well, this country is obviously being run by corrupt people. So what can we do about that? Well, the basic answer is nothing. And what I would say is don't trust any politician. Don't put your faith, hopes, and dreams in anything they tell you because it's all lies. Will anyone be prosecuted for this? No. No, they won't. They're untouchable. They've already said there's not enough evidence to prosecute. Pictures can't talk is what a federal prosecutor recently said on Fox News, which is funny because pictures and videos have been used for years to build cases, question suspects, and prosecute sex offenders. When I was in law enforcement, I was certified as a child sex crime investigator and in interviewing and interrogations. I also worked as a private investigator and defense investigator for 5 years and a fugitive recovery agent for 16. I've conducted many different types of investigations for many years. The evidence that's been presented that I've seen and we've all seen is clearly enough to question the suspects and build cases. But like I said, they're untouchable. They have no plans to bring in Bill Gates, Trump, or any other sickos we've seen in the files. Clinton will be questioned by Congress. He'll have no knowledge or of anything, and that'll be the end of that. We all know this will be the outcome. We all need to realize it's we, the people, and stop following party lines. Personally, I think we should all stop paying taxes. Why should this disgusting government continue to collect our hard-earned money so politicians can live these lifestyles, or send it all to foreign countries, or use it all to fight endless wars in other countries? We should stop voting for anyone at all. What we need is a do-over. We're living Sodom and Gomorrah. All this to say, live your life. Enjoy your life, your friends, and your family, and don't worry about the things you can't change. There's no point in it. The country, maybe the world, is morally bankrupt, but you don't have to be.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.